This chapter, we're going to cover these 3 rough bark elms. I can't call it cork bark because it doesn't really get really corky, but I think it's safe to say it's a rough bark. Well, all these are all the same mother plant. I had one that was being grown in a 15-gallon, and it took off in the ground. So I proceeded to take the 15-gallon and style that. And then all these been popping out ever since. So once you have a Chinese elm in the ground, you could harvest that thing forever. If you ever should plant a Chinese elm and decide that you don't want it, you could have a big problem on your hand because any root that is left in the ground will start to shoot out again. Well, it works well for bonsai though. So anyway, that's what I have here, is I have 3 of them. And basically, it's been in this container maybe 3 years. And so what I'm gonna do today is to take the root ball and cut off about 1/3, put fresh soil, and then put it back in the same container that it came in, but very close to the top, within about 1 inch or 1.5 inches of the top, so people could see it. Okay, first thing, we're just gonna see how our root flare is doing. You know, in the nursery trade, the commercial nursery trade, well, what happens is in time, a lot of these plants start to get deeper into the pot, so you really can't see. In the nursery trade, not the bonsai, but regular nursery trade, they just add soil on top, which kind of is bad for bonsai because it keeps hiding the good root flare. So if you want to do this, where you want to try to improve the material, you first check the top like this, right? See, look at the root flare, it keeps going down. We do this, see? Look, it still keeps going. And you know the importance of the root flare in bonsai, it's like 1/3 of the tree. So anyway, this is our new surface, and we check the bottom, make sure, oh, this one doesn't really need to be cut. I'm just gonna scratch this and put it with the fresh soil on the bottom and raise the tree. That's what they don't do in commercial bonsai because one, it takes too much effort, and most of the people in the trade are not interested in the root flare. But for bonsai, that's one of the biggest factor in terms of a good bonsai, the root flare. So anyway, this one's look good. I'm gonna trim the top next. At this stage, we don't worry too much about actual style. We always want to be thinking about our main line. And then what I'm looking for here is the bigger branches. Well, up here, we don't want big, thick branches. So I'm saving the small one, and ones that are going up, we take off. This is running into a problem. This is getting very thick for where it is. So I'm gonna cut off a big chunk of it so that we get rid of that problem. Well, it's not a problem yet, but it will be in the future. So now we're looking at the size and quality of the branches. Okay. And then down here, we want it low and thicker. So over here, I'm not sure. I wonder if I should just cut this whole thing off. Well, it's also still helping to thicken that, so I'll just think of it as a sacrifice branch and possibly even keep it. So I'll just prune it as such. Okay, this part here died, so I shall recut this, make it look neater. This one had too many up here. I'm going to take the bigger one off and make it come this way. There's some, oh yeah, things like that. But basically, that's it for this tree. Number 2, I'll let you take a really close look at it. So I've been trimming these on and off maybe 2, 3, 4 times a year. So it's coming along. Now, if I had less and then I spend more time detailing it, I think it would look even better yet. But it has good enough form that most people that want a Chinese elm can get an idea of what they're buying when they come here. So I'm looking at this and the others, and I think I'm going to scrape off the top because I think the root flare is still hidden. So one of the things I'm going to do is start from the top part, scrape away the soil, see where the root flare is, and then as I get to the root zone, I'll cut off maybe 2 inches and put fresh soil. That should invigorate this, and we'll start to have a better product sooner. Okay, same process. It looks okay, but see, it doesn't have much of a root flare. So if we dig down, oh yeah, see, down below. We have, gets better and better as you go down deeper. You know, in a lot of the nursery stock, if you dig down, then there usually is a root flare, because that's sort of the natural process. But I think most of your general nursery people do not like you going over there and taking your tool and start digging down. They'll say, "Sir, are you going to buy this or what?" Anyway, but you could see the importance of root flare. And then like this one here, it's starting to come up. So I'm going to avoid future problems by taking it off. Now this is how we make a root cutting, right? From here, we just bury it like this part open, and then it'll re-sprout. That's how all these came to be. It was in the ground. I took out the main tree, and then, but still the leftover roots still kept wanting to pop out. So let's see how this is doing down here. It's in pretty good shape. I'm just going to scratch. Now, if this was all coiled, then I would typically cut it, but I guess I'm catching this early enough so that it hasn't done that. So I'm just going to scratch, add the fresh soil, and come up. Okay, quick trim. This one's in pretty good shape. We still got to work on that apex. Well, I might as well do it now. I was trying to go this way, but it's too long, so I'm going to cut it back to here. And it's being an elm, it does grow right back. And then this one here is getting too heavy, and kind of in the wrong plane, so I'm going to cut it back severely. I almost thought about removing it completely, but I think this is good. Okay, so it's ready to be repotted back in the same container. This one here is a multi-trunk. And when I was first working on this, I had some doubts. Multi-trunks are very difficult to work. You gotta work together. You can't have two different trees that is not in unison. But I think this is coming together. I also see that, hey, maybe we could take the chisel and do heroes. Oh, let's split that thing in two. But I think this one here, I think will stay as a double trunk or a two tree, and we'll work with that. And this one too, I'm pretty sure that I should scrape off the top part and start to show more of the roof flare. So all three get. Okay, once again, same process here. Let's see what's underneath. Wow, look at that. Look at how thick this is down below. Well, you know, I've been growing almost all my materials from scratch. It's because what's acceptable in the general nursery trade is not exactly good enough for bonsai. Some of the stuff that we find very valuable, they don't consider that in general horticulture to start with. Like the roof flare. They know it's there, but they don't emphasize it. Versus in bonsai, that's one of our key things. So, see, I said, work it. It's starting to really come out now. Look at right here. You know, early on, I told you this thing, I had some doubts because of the double trunk, but I'm really beginning to like this one here. It's a little bit more complex. And there is a possibility, if we wanted to, we could split it, but I think that this is just coming out unique. Not many people have double trunks. Well, most people can't handle more than one trunk at a time. That's one of the reasons, I think. But I tend to try to do something that other people don't try. Well, this was not intentional, it just came out that way. But see how it's starting to come out. So the new soil level will be down here. And then I'll just trim the top. Okay, I think I'm done with these. You know, every time I'm doing this, I see a few needs trimming. Those on the right, that's shooting up. I'll take care of that. But overall, I think it's looking good. We could use a little bit more oomph on the apex. But the transition is almost there. I just want a little bit more growth up there and a little bit thicker trunk so that it blends a little bit better than it is right now. Right now, well, what it is the bottom part is so thick and nice that that transition is still a little bit on the abrupt side. But, you know, elms are top growers. So that should be no problem at all. So I think it's coming around again. And I believe this is the front right there. This one is okay. I think the first one was better. It's coming along. I believe right now we're looking at the back side. But one thing did improve is the roof flare got bigger. It's kind of hard to see yet, but it definitely got better. And these will be planted, well, be placed outside in full sun and full frost and a little bit of freezing. Chinese elms and a lot of the deciduous, I think when they're exposed to fairly extreme cold, they do better. I have a friend in Southern California has a bonsai nursery. I consider him a great friend, but we're always competitive too. And I believe that my plant material, especially like the elms and hardy deciduous, I get better results than he would. The third one, I think the front is coming around the corner. It's got a little bit more work, but it's unusual that it's a double trunk. And I think in another 2 to 3 years, this is going to look great. Once again, the apex is a little bit weak compared to down below, but they'll come along. So anyway, that's what I have, is the 3 rough bark elms. And I'm working on these the first week of January. But the better timing is just about the time you'll see this. I think these will be scheduled to be on YouTube probably mid-February, and that will be a better time to get started. So anyway, this is Hiro saying goodbye. I will see you real soon in another chapter. Stay safe, everybody. So once again, here comes the front. I believe the front is right there.